The Chicago Bears were out in full force at the OSU Pro Day, and we're going to talk about who shined and who helped their stock, basically all the players at the OSU Pro Day. We're also going to talk about a intriguing draft prospect that is rumors are going that the Bears could be interested from Kansas State. We're going to get into all that plus some other news right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. If you guys want to follow the show, you can do so right off the top at Chi Bears Central. You can also follow me at CEO Haize, that's CEO Haize. But let's jump into it for today. So the Chicago Bears were out in full force at the OSU Pro Day, and some of the potential targets that the Bears could be interested in really did shine, and one even maybe unexpectedly had a pretty solid pro day, but the Bears were out in full force. And while JSN is a target that a lot of Bears fans and Justin Fields have vocalized that they would like to see the Bears go after in the draft, I think that it's unlikely that we target a wide receiver that high in the draft. But for the nature of the conversation, we're going to talk about him today. Some of the questions surrounding him was his speed. After Jason declined to participate in the 40-yard dash at the draft combine, it raised some questions. Well, he did give it one try here and ran that. Some teams had him at a 4.5. 4.53 at the 40-yard dash, and some teams had him as low as a 4.48. So basically, he eliminated some of the questions, and he looked exactly like all his tape and plus sides there. JSN, for all intents and purposes, definitely helped his stock there. I still have my questions on if the Bears are going to go wide receiver that high in the draft, but for those that were interested in JSN, he seemed to shine down there. And did he shine enough for maybe to make the Bears take look with questions around? Are they going to extend Darnell Mooney? What's going on with Chase Claypool? Could the Bears potentially go after? I don't see it personally, but like I said, I wanted to cover it because I know there are going to be people who ask questions, but we know what we're going to be looking for. CJ Stroud also shined, but that's completely out of us. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers, who seem to be really liking what he's going, but we want to take a look at the offensive lineman here, right? And so everyone knows Paris Johnson is somebody that we are looking at here, and with his size, 6'6", 316 pounds, and what he did at the combine, him and DeJuan Jones both pretty much look pretty good. They have very different frames as far as physicality. DeJuan Jones is 6'8", 374 pounds, a much bigger offensive tackle there, but it seems that both players shined and dazzled with their size, their amount of power, and a little bit of speed that they flashed down there. So it seems like if the offensive lineman, if Paris Johnson was the way that the Bears are leaning to go in that draft, he's done nothing but to help his stock in that potential draft coming up. Now, another offensive lineman from OSU also shined, and that's Luke Whippler. I believe I'm pronouncing that last name right. He 6'3", 303 pounds. I've actually covered him here before. He's a center, which is a potential position of need for the Chicago Bears, and he's projected to go lower in the draft. So as we know, it's been rumored that Cody Whitehair may be moving back to center, and if he does, the Bears could look to be taking a Luke Whippler down lower in the draft and develop him over that first season while he eventually takes over that position from Cody Whitehair if he doesn't take it outright in training camp. So again, for a position of need for the Chicago Bears of the offensive line, you have three down here who looked really good in the pro day and could have moved up the Chicago Bears draft boards. But speaking of draft boards, it's been rumored now that the Bears may have an interest in defensive end from Kansas State, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. And listen, from somebody who mispronounces names all the time, I'm going to say it again because I got it right. Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Shout out to that. Kansas State, he's a junior, 6'3", 252 pounds. This guy is a pass rush beast. Some of the questions that surround him is what he can do in the run game. And again, but he brings the skill that we do need. So what you do on the rest of the offensive line, you could overtake that. But he has super big strength. He's strong. He's a strong guy, has a great motor. He has great pass rush skills. He has good flexibility in what he's able to do. There's some issues with, of course, him in the run game, how he lines up. There's some issues with like how he's going to get on the line of scrimmage. But again, this isn't a guy that's shaped up to go high in the draft. The Bears could definitely get him in day two, and he's shaping up to be maybe a potential target for the Bears to get in that day two. And considering that they may address the defensive line in round two or whatever, if you add in him as a depth piece, maybe somebody who can come in, push the competition there, the biggest question is, how big would the Bears have to be on him to draft him, considering we still have Travis Gibson and Dominique Robinson down there, who we know that the Chicago Bears are also highly interested in. So that's bringing some questions there as well. We'll take a look and see how that does. But again, keep the name Felix Anudike-Uzomah on your draft boards, because if you hear his name called and he ends up becoming a Chicago Bear, don't let it surprise you, because like I said, a lot of rumors are starting to rise that they could go after him in the edge on day 2, and he could be a top target for them in day 2 of the NFL draft. So go do your research on him. If you like it, if you need some more than what I got in there, other day 2 prospects that it seems that the Bears could be circling around is also Keanu Bitten from Wisconsin, defensive lineman. I've covered him as well here. And that's if we don't go and get Jalen Carter with number 9, if he doesn't fall there. He could be another interior defensive lineman that we bring that may not start right away, but that we could develop. 6'4", 309 pounds. This dude can ball. He's targeted. He could be in that spot of us either in our 61st overall pick or the 64th pick, and he could be a versatile defensive tackle that we can absolutely bring in, and he has a high motor as well. Another one that we're rumored to be interested in is day 2 is Isaiah Foskey. We covered him as well. Edge out of Notre Dame from the crib, basically. 6'5", 264 pounds. So again, really good pass rusher. So, those are some targets that we're hearing the Bears could be interested on that defensive line in day 2. So be on the lookout for that. But all right, let's go ahead and get off of that. So with free agency, not really coming to a close, but free agency being at its most quiet period, we've had some of those grades are coming out from the outlets. And I just want to kind of go over what the Bears have been graded with in free agency so far. So Sporting News gave the Bears an A+ so far. So there it goes. They gave one of the best, and they gave the Packers a D. Shout out to that. We always want to see those cheeseheads get bad. Pro Football Focus has given the Bears a B- so far in free agency overall. Can understand that. CBS Sports has given the Bears a B+. Now, Pro Football Network has given the Bears an A, and ESPN has given the Bears the most improved as far as free agency so far. So when you look at that, I know that the Bears still have tons of work to do, and I see you guys and some of the pessimism in the comments, and let me be clear. I understand it, and I even agree with it to a degree. But let's not overlook, because of what they did not do, to take away from what they have done, and they have added considerable talent, and we're not done yet. We're not done. We're not done, to quote another podcast. But, it is what it is. And so the Bears are improving, and that's all you can ask for in free agency. I think, sometimes as fans, we can get caught up in them not doing everything that we need or want them to do. But the Bears at least have made a drastic improvement of talent level to this roster, and we can see what happens with it. I want to see the Bears continue to grow, continue to develop, and that's all it is, right? It's year after year growth, year after year filling holes, year after year adjustments. You're not going to get everything done in one single season, and even some of the things that may look like you initially filled a hole may have a fall off after a season or two. So, it's always a continued evolution with improving an NFL team. And that's why the teams that are able to stay good for long are special, because the level of growth and level of change that you have to really commit to year after year to just keep improving your football team. Not many teams are able to sustain it over a long period of time. And I think Ryan Poles is trying to build something sustainable here. And if he is successful in it, we could be talking about the Bears for a long time as far as being contenders and being playoff teams. And that's something that we haven't had in a while here in Chicago. But you guys can let me know what you think on those grades so far that the Bears have been given. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think they should be higher or lower? Let me know down below. All right. Next one up, linebacker Dylan Cole has visited the Chicago Bears. Now, this is a guy, he's 28. He's played 26 seasons. He's a linebacker. He played with the Tennessee Titans for the last 2 seasons, played with the Texans before that. He's played 61 games over the course of his career. He's recorded 147 total tackles over 6 seasons, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. 43% of his snaps were played on defense, whereas 74% of them were on special teams. So him visiting the Chicago Bears, being another linebacker, he's a multi-use player that can be used either way. It's more of a depth piece. But shout out to the Bears for continuing to review and evolve. We know we want to see them do some work on that offensive line for sure. But, they're continuing looking at talent. So there you go there. Trying to be very thorough in all the news that we give you guys. All right, let's up before we leave today. It has been speculated now and come up that the Bears were in advanced talks with both Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. And it was presented as a way that by Ben Albright on a podcast that the Bears could have just lost those bidding wars. Maybe they're presenting it as the Bears were too cheap. He said this: the Bears were bidding on both Powers and McGlinchey, and both chose the Broncos. And the Bears had more cap. They could have done more with it. So what does that say? Trying to paint the picture that the Chicago Bears are being cheap in free agency. Of course, they're spending it that way in the favor of Denver. And of course, the Chicago Bears are going to spend it of, we weren't going to spend the level of money that they got. We're going to be really, mindful of our money and, talk about the scheme fit and things like that. So both being in Denver and both being players that if the Bears would have gotten both Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey, we wouldn't have nearly as much salary cap as we have right now. I think that actually would have eaten up all of the salary cap that we got left, basically. But you have to look at the long-term and longevity, right? The Bears have so many positions that they need to fill, and because the trenches are heavy in the draft, they could have weighed that. But, hearing that the Bears were really in a bidding war for that and they lost considering that they had the most free money in free agency, it just highlights how having the most money is not always going to be the thing. And Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers very well could have chose a team that looks like it's better set to win than what the Chicago Bears are. And that is something that we have to fix this season. And we have to fix season after season, is proving that we can be a destination for free agents, not also to get paid in, but also win and have some success. If Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers ultimately decided on the Denver Broncos over the Chicago Bears for winning, I can't blame them on that. We still, as a franchise and as an organization, need to prove our commitment to winning, improve our ability to win. And with that, and having Justin Fields as a free agent that players may want to play with, we're going to see that tide hopefully start to turn. It does suck to hear that two players that we absolutely needed, right, and would have been great here in different ways. Mike McGlinchey has his own issues in the pass protection, but it sucks to hear that we just lost out on a bidding war. But again, you have to stay mindful over what this front office is doing. And so Ryan Poles has his mindset on how he wants to spend his money, and our money, not our money, the McCaskey's money is what it basically boils down to. So we'll see what that means and if this is something that continually affects the Chicago Bears. But hopefully we start solving that winning thing here in the next season, and then that's not even a question. And we won't have to ask ourselves, hey, the players not come to this team because they don't believe that we're going to be able to win. But you guys can let me know what you think on all that down below. That is it for today's daily episode of Chicago Bears Central. You can follow the show at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a voicemail and our text message for our mailbag episode's going down tomorrow. We need get those voicemails in. We heard it. We did 2 last week. Get those voicemails in. The number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.